show you some stuff I made with old jeans, and I'm going to give you a tutorial on how you can make one of these. So I made this pillow once. It's really cute. All I did was I took a pair of shorts, and my dad has a face mask. Oh, wait. It's kind of big. My face is smaller than his. And I'm going to show you how to make this. They're really cute, and you can make them no-sew too. So now I'm going to show you the supplies to make one of these. So you will need some old jeans. I already got this one. The back pockets are better because they fit better. If it has belt loops on it, you can actually do it no-sew. So I have these old jeans. You will also need some sort of string. This was actually tying up my mom's comforter when we bought it, so you could use something like this, or as I'm doing right now, I'm knitting a strap. You will also need, if you want to decorate it, either embroidery floss or acrylic paint. You can use both. I'm probably going to use both. This one is one that my mom painted, so you can paint something like this. And yeah, and hold on. Oh wait, why did I put everything on top of this? As you can see, for this one, I added a piece of fabric and then I just embroidered a little bee on it. So yeah. So let's get into it. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is you want to cut off the legs of your jeans. So I made a dotted line on mine so I know where to cut. So I'm just going to cut across this dotted line. Alright, now that you've cut off the legs of your jeans, you're just going to cut along the side seams. They usually have this little seam right here. Sometimes they're sewed down to one side, but if not, just flip it to the front side so it doesn't get in your way while you're cutting. And then just cut across that. You should save all of the excess pieces for later in case you want to make something else out of them. Like in another video, I'm going to show you how you can make a pillow like the one I have on my bed out of the front of your jeans. So make sure to save that part. So now I've cut off the whole front and legs, so I'm just going to save them for later. So now I have the back with the pockets. I'm going to show you how you can make two styles. One, which is like this, and this one that I've already made, where it's just a pocket. These require sewing, but if you've never sewn before, I'm going to show you how you can make this kind, which needs no sewing. So next, how you want to cut it is we're just going to cut off the sides. This one is going to be this one's going to be one of the sewing ones. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut along the side of the pocket, and then I'm going to cut up to this nice seam right here. It makes it very easy to cut because it's all straight. And this belt loop is kind of in the way, so if you're making a sew one and your belt loop's in the way, you can just cut it off here, and then there will be a little like lump, but you can cut that off later. So now I'm just going to cut straight up here. Then I'm going to cut along this top seam like this. If you don't get it perfect the first time, that's fine, because you can just go back and fix it. Then I'm going to cut down the other side of the pocket. And then the bottom I'm just going to cut out as well. And then we can just put this aside so we can decorate it later. The next one, you're going to want to cut along this middle seam in the center. So make sure that you didn't cut that off. So you're just going to want to cut along it on the outside, the side away from the pocket. See, I'm cutting on this side and the pocket's on this side. You want to keep the seams because that means that you don't have to sew it together. And if your cutting isn't perfectly straight, that's fine because denim frays quite nicely. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut along this top seam. And then I'm going to make sure to have the belt loop. So I'm just going to cut up to the belt loop. Sometimes there's a tag, so you can just cut out the tag and then you can throw that away. And then you just want to cut all the way up. Make sure you have sharp scissors because this can be very hard to cut. And if you have multiple tags, if they're still long and bothersome, just cut them off. And then you can put this to the side. Next, you want to try to make them even on both sides because usually this belt loop will be cut flat, but this one won't because as you can see, it lines straight up with the seam and it will look all uneven and odd. So we are just going to try to measure it so it's about the same width. Mine is already the same width, so I'm just going to clean up the edges a bit. Like right here, see? Just going to cut that part off. The next part is the bottom. I'm going to just cut across the bottom, making sure that I don't cut off the bottom of the pocket, because then my phone would fall out. So I'm just going to cut along the bottom. And remember, you can always cut more later, but you can never cut less. So just try to make it kind of long. So now I can look at it and think if I want it to be cut any shorter. I can probably cut it a bit shorter. Usually this is straight and then it goes out a bit. So try to cut off this part that goes out, but you don't want to cut the pocket. That's the more important part. So now I have my two pockets. Now it's time to decorate them. In case you accidentally cut off the belt loops or you don't like it with belt loops, I'm going to show you 2 ways that you can still make it without sewing anything at all. So when you're decorating your pocket, there are 2 different options that you can do. You can probably do more stuff, just these are the ones I can think of. So the first thing you can do is you can paint it. This is what I did. I used fabric paint like this. These are 3D, but I used paintbrushes to make them flat. You could also use acrylic paint. I find that the fabric paint is a lot smoother to use, so just note that. The other thing you could do is you can embroider it like this. You can either embroider onto a separate piece of fabric, or like I'm going to do with this one, straight onto the denim. I am going to link a video on how to embroider stuff up in the corner up here, so that if you don't know, then you can learn. So the first thing I like to do is I'm going to draw my design. So if you watched my favorite books video, you know I like Harry Potter, so I'm going to draw a lightning bolt. So I'm using an art colored denim, so I'm going to use a piece of chalk. If it's a lighter colored denim, you could probably use a pencil. So now I'm just going to draw out my design. You should always draw out your design to make sure that you get the design that you want. Because sometimes when you're painting, it can be hard to get the exact design, but it's easier if you have a guideline. And there was just lightning. Perfect. I don't know if you could hear that. So now I'm going to use some paint. I'm just going to squeeze it right on. And then I'm just going to take the paintbrush and flatten it. As you can see, my paintbrush has gone all stiff. That's because I forgot to wash it. Make sure that as soon as you're done, you wash your paintbrush. Otherwise, it will get the bristles all stiff if you're using fabric paint. If you're using a darker color denim, I would say try to get a thicker layer of paint. You can always go over it and layer it again once it's dry. Usually fabric paint takes a little bit to dry, so just before you sew it together, follow the instructions on what it says on the back of your fabric paint. Okay, so the other option that I could think of right now to decorate your pocket bag is embroidery. So if you don't know how to embroider, I have a tutorial, I will link it up here, where I will show you all of these different stitches. The French knot, the Lazy Daisy, the chain stitch, the back stitch, the silk/satin stitch, and the split stitch. If there are other stitches you'd like me to do, you can tell me, because I know those aren't all of them. That's just a basic one. So I outlined mine with chalk. That's what I like to do because I'm using a dark colored fabric. If I was using a light colored fabric, I would use a pencil. But if you have a fabric pencil, you can use that. I'm doing my star sign. I'm a Libra. So I'm just going to embroider. I'm doing the French knots on the dots I added, and I'm doing a back stitch everywhere else. So, if you can think of any more ways to decorate your bag, you can do that. And please tell me in the comments down below. So, now I'm going to show you how you can add a strap. For this one, I sewed it, as you can see through the seam. I machine sewed it, but you can also hand sew if you want to sew it. But also, I showed you how to cut a no-sew one. So, we can start with this one because it's easier. So, what you will need to use is you'll need some kind of strap. This was tying up my mom's comforter when we got it. You could use an old shoelace, or this was a sash on a dress I had. You could also knit one, like what I'm doing now. I haven't finished it yet, though. So, what you want to do is, I'm going to stand up. So, you want to, I like to wear my messenger bag style, so I'm going to put it where I want it. I'm going to measure. And I'm actually going to put it a bit longer than I actually need. So I'm going to have one side that goes down to the bottom of the pocket. And then the other side is just going to go all the way down because I haven't cut it yet. So right there is where I'm going to cut it. So I'll grab my scissors and I'll just cut it right there. So now that you have your tying thing at the right length, what you're going to do is you're going to stick it through the belt loop, and then you can just tie it. So I'm just going to tie mine on both sides. And there, see, you can then stand up and try it on, and mine's a bit longer than I want it. You could have it at this length. It's just a bit bothersome to me, so what I'm going to do is I'm then going to make it the length I want it on, about the length I want it on one side, tie it while I'm standing, and then I'm going to pull it up. You don't want it twisted like how I had it like that. You want it to go through on the right side. But then I'm going to adjust it so it's the right length I want it. And then I'm going to tie it. And then all I need to do is I need to cut off this excess on both sides. And there you have it. A no-sew phone holder. So here is another no-sew method to do it, and this one is if you cut off the belt loops. So what you have to do is you have to cut right here underneath the hem, cut it here and also at the back right there. I wouldn't cut them at the same time because it can be a bit hard, and if your thing isn't big enough, if your hole isn't big enough, just stick your scissors through it and make it a bit bigger. So what you're going to use is you're just going to have some twine. I have this leather that I got from the craft store a while ago, and I'm just going to double it up so it's stronger. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick it through while it's doubled up through this hole, then through the back hole, and then I'm just going to pull it. I'm not going to pull it all the way through, just So I have this loop, and then I'm going to stick my thread or twine through it again, and then I'm going to pull it tight so it's like a slip knot. And then on the other side, I'm going to stick it through coming from the back. And then coming through the front right here. And if you find that your hole is a bit too small, and while you're stringing it, just stick your scissors through and try not to cut your string at all. So here, that might be a bit easier for me now. So I'm going to just stick it through the loop, both pieces. So now, in case it got a bit mixed up while I was doing it, I'm going to make sure that the strap is not longer on one side because that would be extremely uncomfortable to wear. So now I'm going to do a nice big knot. When you do your knots, make sure that you're not making it too short by pulling too much string. I'm going to double knot it. I forgot to mention it on this one, but you're going to want to double knot these two because otherwise it might drop your phone, and that's not a good thing. So I'm just going to double knot it and try to make your knots big so they don't slide through your hole, and then pull it and there. And I'm just going to cut this one so it's the same length. And you can cut this shorter. I'm leaving it long in case I have to retie it again. So here is no-sew method number 2. So now for no-sew method number 3. This one is my favorite, I think. So what I'm going to do is I just cut some little holes here. I didn't measure them, so I don't know how far spaced apart they are. And I'm just using an old shoelace that's from a roller skate or high tops. I'm not really sure where. I sometimes change shoelaces because I tend to break them. But if it's from a high top Converse or a roller skate, it should work. But if it's short, it might not work as well. So what I'm going to start with is I'm going to push it through the back, and then I'm just going to weave it. And it might be kind of hard if your holes are kind of thin to pull it through after you already weave it. So I'm going to try to pull some of the string through while I'm weaving it. Mine are not particularly tight, so I don't think it will be too hard. And then I'm just going to pull it so it's even on both sides. I'm going to try to keep it from twisting. So I just want it to be even on both sides. So what I like to do to make things even is I'll put them at the top, and then I'll see what side needs to be a bit more, So now I will try to untwist it here. It's probably going to be twisted up here, but that's fine. So now I'm going to stand up to measure it. So this one is going to be tied up here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it at the height I want it to be at. And then I'm just going to tie a knot up here on my shoulder. I'm counting that as one knot because the first one isn't really a knot. And I'm just going to do, I guess, 3 knots. And there. I hope that you guys like doing this craft with me. If you like it, give it a big thumbs up. And if you have any more crafts, do tell me to do, leave it in the comments. And if you like videos like this, remember to subscribe. Well, I'll see you guys next time. Bye!